entertain a motion to approve the agenda that has been presented to you about a week in advance. So moved.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve the agenda. All in favor, please raise your hand. Thank you. We'd like to welcome all our visitors. We don't usually have this many people, so this is very exciting for us, especially to see the young people that are here tonight. It's just wonderful. Thank you so much for coming. At this time, I would like to ask Dr. Duvall to do the invocation, and Dr. Stendahl, the Pledge of Allegiance. If you'll all stand.
Heavenly Father, we give you thanks this afternoon for the opportunity to gather here as a group to go about the business of education for our students, our staff, and the community which we serve. We give you special thanks for many blessings that you have brought to us and to those around us during this day. We would ask that you guide us tonight as we go through deliberations. May our thoughts, our actions, our speeches, all be aimed at going about what is best for the best of our students and staff in this community. Bless us now. Thanks for this opportunity to go about this work here in Henry County. Bless us as we go through the remainder of tonight's activities. That's in thy precious name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The first portion of our agenda this evening is awards and recognition. Ms. Patrick, you are designated one. Awesome.
Good evening, Ms. Maddox and members of the board. It is my pleasure tonight to introduce the recipients of the first generation college scholarship. The scholarship is being sponsored by Service Solutions, and we greatly appreciate the fact that they continue to sponsor this scholarship again this year. The criteria for being selected for the scholarship, of course, being a first generation college student, also included volunteerism, community involvement, participation in school-sponsored programs, and academic achievement. More importantly, the panel sought to give this scholarship to the students that would make an impact on Martinsville and Henry County and on the student's life. So each student will receive a $1,000 scholarship. At this time, I would just like to ask students to come forward when their name is called and to remain standing for a picture with Ms. Maddox and Dr. Cotton. Our recipients this year are Cheyenne Bryant from Magna Vista, Haley Dalton from Bassett High School, Rio Hodges from Magna Vista, Taylor Mabry from Bassett High School, Dahlia Petty from Bassett High School, and Tamaya Van Hook Davis from Magna Vista. On behalf of Henry County Schools and Service Solution, I would like to congratulate you and wish you the best in your future endeavors.
Dr. Collins, if else looking guy in the picture. They're already in good shape. I can't be here.
I do. Tonight, we'd also like to recognize our teachers that have earned National Board Certification. Earning this is an arduous task, and it certifies that our teachers have the highest marks in professional accomplishments. It allows the teachers to showcase the demonstration of their practices in the classroom. It also helps us know that these teachers are supporting their students every day. As a division, we have supported our teachers earning the certification, and it in turn benefits our schools and our students and our community. So tonight, I would like to recognize the 3 latest teachers who have earned their National Board certification. So if they would please come forward, remain standing for a picture with Dr. Cotton and Ms. Maddox when they receive their class. Dana Campbell from Mount Olivet. Tiffany Creech from Stanleytown Elementary. And Jessica France from Mount Olivet Elementary. Next, we have the Exabyte Challenge. So, Ms. Maddox, will you stay down here, please? Impressive lesson plans involving creativity, communication, collaboration, and critical thinking can earn teachers a chance to win an Apple TV for their classroom. This is our Exabyte Challenge for this year. I just pulled a few of the things that some of the teachers wrote they were going to do, and some of them did because I actually went out and watched them. They said their students will write a news article and create a podcast to share with their peers. Students will utilize AirPlay to send work to the smartboard to visually share their Lego Build Story Builder creations with the class. My students are going to read ebooks and take notes to share with their peers on the Apple TV. Students will create a presentation about oceans and tides and share on the Apple TV. And tonight I have some of our winners here. We had 15, and some are present tonight. So when I call your name, will you come up so we can have your picture made with Dr. Cotton and Ms. Maddox? Lori Aldridge. Annie Baker. Diana Campbell. Natalie Coleman. Ashley Cox. Joanna Griffith. Amy Jarrett. Heather Langford. And did I leave anyone out? I hope not. Okay, we can get the picture with. On the stairs. We have to avoid it. I got it. And we have one more presentation. This year we're giving a 55-inch 55-inch smart TV to one of these winners. And the winner of that is Miss Annie Baker. And this is for your classroom.
I'll go ahead and put this in my car. I'll bring it to you in the fall. How about that? Can you get that up the picture?
Just go standing. Just.
We'll have that sent to you. You don't have to carry it.
Madam Chair, members of the school board, I'm proud to report that in recognition of superior energy performance, the United States Environmental Protection Agency awards the Energy Star Award to all K through 12 Henry County Public Schools for the third year in a row. And just so you know, buildings that earn EPA's Energy Star uses 35% less energy and generates 35% fewer greenhouse gas emissions than similar buildings across the nation. The data from each school is entered into a portfolio by Mr. Adkins, and it's verified by a certified engineer for each school. And so we're pretty excited. This is the third year in a row that all K through 12 schools in our division has met this criteria. So I'd ask that as I call your school's name, if a representative would come forward and we'll line up and try to get us a picture then. Mr. Adkins will join Dr. Cotton on the congratulations. Axton Elementary. Bassett High School. Campbell Court Elementary. Carver Elementary. Collinsville Primary. Drury Mason Elementary. Philadelphia Collinsville Middle School. John Red Smith Elementary. Laurel Park Middle School. Magna Vista High School. Mount Olivet Elementary. Rich Acres Elementary. Sandville Elementary. And Stanleytown Elementary.
You can stand there. We'll keep you there. We'll keep you there. Miss Pam, you got me down here too.
Get somebody to make me look good on this side. Oh,
That's gonna help me now.
Good evening. I have the honor of presenting the final awards for this evening and recognizing our schools. As you are aware, each year Henry County Public Schools participates in the United Way campaign. This year's theme was Change Starts Here, and we collected change and our students helped us, and Henry County Public Schools raised $5,822 more this year than in the past year. That put us almost to $20,000 raised by our school division. So several of our schools are being recognized for raising the amount or the percentage that they have given from one year to the next. So this year we have two schools that are being recognized in the President's campaign, and that is that they raised their giving 10% this year, and that is the Center for Community Learning. And Samville Elementary. If you want to stay. She may have stepped out into the hallway. Additionally, we had several schools who are being recognized with the Employee Campaign Excellence Award for raising their giving 20% or more. And those schools or sites are Axton Elementary, Collinsville Primary, Drury Mason Elementary, Fieldale Collinsville Middle School, John Red Smith Elementary, stay here, stop.
Get it to you.
Okay.
Where it is.
We'll double
Sure we
check
handed
and make
it to
sure none got
somebody.
stuck together. Laurel Park Middle School. That's Laurel Park.
Thank you. There you go. Congratulations.
Magna Vista High School.
She has FC out there, so.
Mount Olivet Elementary. Stanleytown Elementary. And our bus garage also raised their giving 20% this year, so we congratulate them as well. Because of the raise in this giving, Dr. Cotton also was recognized with a special award at the United Way Awards luncheon recently, and that award is called the Campaign Champions Award. So we're very excited to present that to the school board this evening as well. And we'd like to do a photo of that presentation with everyone who won from each of the schools. So if you raised your school's giving this year, if you'll come back up so that you can be in the group picture with the presentation of the plaque.
And now we'll move to the informational agenda. The first item is the Energy Conservation Group.
Ms. Maddox, members of the school board, Dr. Cotton, I'm excited to be back here sharing our annual energy conservation report. We have now completed the 5th year of our program. Our energy program goal has remained the same, with our main focus of the program to save money for the classroom. As you can see, our objective goals align with our Vision 2018 strategies plan. Goal 3, safe and orderly learning environment. We received Energy Star recognition for the 3rd year in a row. All K-12 schools, Energy Star is a nationally recognized resource for validating the impact of our energy program. Our schools partner with Energy Star and have been recognized through their Leaders in Building certification program. All schools were again awarded the Energy Star Partner of 2014. U.S. Department of Education began the Green Ribbon Schools Recognition Award in the fall of 2011 and named the first cohort in April 2012. As you know, Magna Vista High School received this recognition in 2013, and now Bassett High School has also received this prestigious award for 2015. These high schools are one of 64 schools, I think it's 58 schools, each year in the nation to receive this award. Henry County Public Schools is the only school division in the state of Virginia to have more than one school receive this award. The award highlights the innovative best practices of a handful of schools that are reducing the environmental impact and costs, improving health and wellness, and providing the effective environmental and sustainability education. Only 9 divisions in Virginia received top awards in the 2015 Virginia School Boards Association Green Schools Challenge, a friendly competition designed to encourage the implementation of specific environmental policies and practical actions that reduce the carbon emissions generated by both the local school division and the broader community. Henry County Public Schools, for the population of students between 5,000 and 10,000, received the highest recognition of being a Platinum certification winner. The main reason I'm here today is to share with you how the program has performed. As you can see, the program you decided over 5 years ago to invest in has produced results. This is just a quick breakout to show you that the expected energy costs, which is the amount estimated to spend without the program, would have been over $11 million for the last 5 years. You can see our actual energy cost has been $8.2 million, which has given us a cost avoided savings of nearly $3 million the past 60 months. Actually, for the 64th month, just this past month, we went over $3 million, and you'll see it in the report later. This slide represents a reduction in kilowatt hours since the program's conception. We continue to find ways to save. When our energy savings program began, we were paying on average of 7.7 cents per kilowatt hour. Today, it is costing us on average 11.5 cents per kilowatt hour with no end in sight. As you can see, we have been able to reduce our kilowatt usage and save money, even with the increased cost of energy. This is your return on your investment. The net savings the program has produced is already equivalent to the net savings projected by the synergists for the end of the 7th year of the program, which means we're at least a year and a half ahead of estimated schedule. $1,893,000 is our savings, which is nearly 200% return on our investment. As you can see, our program has played a substantial role in reducing the carbon footprint for the division. We reduced our greenhouse gases by 11,861 metric tons. And our program performance is equivalent to removing 2,471 cars from the road. Our division will continue steps to gain school recognition and stay on the cutting edge of energy sustainability. This year, we plan to become only the second school division in the state of Virginia to earn the Energy Star Partner of the Year. Our school division will save money on energy bills and continue to get the recognition for our students and staff for all the efforts for saving money and energy for the classrooms. So what impact does this have on our employees? What do they want? A successful energy program helps deliver all of these things. Good communication methods ensure that everyone knows that the energy program can, has, and will help achieve their goals. Sustained, consistent effort can truly create permanent culture change. Most school districts in the nation are the largest landowners and operators. Think about the positive impact that running even a fraction of these districts and many of their buildings on energy savings or renewable energy can have on the surrounding environment, on the school's operating budget, employee retention, and on educating our youth. The goal is to continue to change our organization's culture from waste to conservation. In a climate of unfunded mandates and frustration with ever-changing standards, the positive effect on successful energy conservation program shouldn't be underestimated. Create positive, sustainable change through energy conservation. Over 30 states have now implemented federal guidelines that require all public buildings to track energy use. By the end of 2018, all states will be required to track their utility usage. Their goal is to require energy reduction at least 20%. Because Henry County Public Schools is already participating in an energy program, our numbers are currently being reported to the EPA. Our monthly reduction has reached well over 30% now. Just a thought, if we had no energy program for the past school year, what would our division cost be? In 2008, our school division budget for utilities was $2 million. In 2010, we were able to lower that budget to $1.8 million and continue to save money for the classroom. Today, if we didn't have an energy program, we would need an additional $400,000 to meet our budget. With our efforts of conservation, we have been able to use money for upgrades and renovations throughout the school division. Any questions? Thank you very much.
I don't have a question, but I just want to thank all of the staff in the county and those that are students and everyone else that's making this possible. That's money that's been saved that hopefully we put to other uses and improve the educational experiences for our kids. And we really appreciate what the entire staff in the county has done to bring this about. Thank you.
I second that.
Well, I also would like to say we just returned from the Green Schools Awards in Washington, D.C. One of the last awards they gave was the Division Award. Our statistics are way above that, so we're encouraging that we apply for that next time.
Yes, ma'am.
Because I think you deserve it. Thank you so much. Mr. Miller, I believe you have something of an athletic nature that should be of interest to all of us.
Yes, ma'am, and I'm going to start off the PowerPoint with Mr. Jock Harrison. He'll start off with leading the discussion.
Good afternoon. My name is Jock Hairston. I am a rising 12th grader at Magna Vista and here to speak with you about the concussion management plan for Henry County Public Schools. Over the past few months, the concussion management team has been meeting and would like to share some information with the school board. The following story is why the concussion management team is needed. A high school football player has passed away after an on-field collision. After sustaining a hit, Jamon Sally, a junior from Parkview High School in Southfield, Virginia, was carried away to the sideline while medical officials began to administer care to Sally on the sideline. He fell unconscious and started to suffer seizures. Sally was transported to Community Memorial Hospital in Southfield. Soon after, he was pronounced dead. Jamon was a strong student in both academics and as an athlete. Michaelsburg County Public Schools Superintendent Dr. James Thornton said in a statement, "Members of his family, friends, and teachers have all shared one common trait of Jamon. He was very respectful. He was a student with a big heart and a smile that would instantly capture your attention." Sally is the 5th high school football player to die this year from an on-field collision, medical incident, or suffering ill effects during a conditioning drill. The purpose of the concussion management team is to provide material for school personnel, volunteers, student athletes, and parents of student athletes. The concussion management team will develop concussion reporting management and review protocols for Henry County Public Schools. The concussion management team consists of school administration, athletic administration, a licensed healthcare provider, a coach, a parent or guardian of a student athlete, and any other person the superintendent determines will assist. Our team consists of Garrett Dillard, Sherry Vessel, Lisa Gardner, Annette Carter, Dr. Pat Favero, Chip Miller, Doctorate of Physical Therapy, myself, Haley Barnes, Ron Prophet, and Mike Minna. Here's Mike Minna.
Thanks, Chuck. The current procedure that Henry County uses is all of our coaches have to be certified under the National Federation of High School Associations, and they complete an online training that each coach, volunteer, they all must go through. Along with that, we have meetings each season to discuss with parents and with players the impact of concussions. Along with that, any player that we think has a concussion is taken out of practice, taken out of play, and not able to return until they've seen a physician. We do not release them back to activities until they've gone through that process. Moving forward, the concussion management team will meet once per semester to review our current procedures and policies in Henry County School to ensure the safety of each and every student. Up next, Mr. Vestal is going to talk about what the CMT has created, which are return to play procedures, return to school procedures, staff training for all individuals, parent and student training, as well as pre-screening of athletes on teams where concussions are common.
Good evening. In order for a student to return to play, according to the International Concussion Consensus Guidelines, there are 5 different steps. The first, the student has to be asymptomatic, followed by they can begin with light aerobic exercise, then followed by moderate, and then heavy non-contact activity, and then they may practice with full contact, and then lastly they may participate in a competition. In order to return to school, our students we want to make sure that they're successful when they return to the classroom. And you have some handouts. Alex, do you mind going to those? Okay, the first one, that one's out of order, but it's a classroom tips for teachers. It is the one that it's just some ideas for this teacher to be able to modify their classroom schedule and the activities for the student, just so that we can make sure that the student is successful. CMT form is our concussion report form. That is filled out if there's a student or a visitor or anyone on school grounds that sustains a concussion, and that is filled out. It's given to the school nurse or the health office attendant the very next day. That nurse or the health office attendant twice per week is going to monitor the student's symptoms and record those, and then do a complete number at the end of the day to find out if the student is getting a little bit better or if there's no change. Step number 3 is all of the teachers of the student who has sustained a concussion receives this notification letting them know that the student has sustained a concussion and some suggestions for the modification of the classroom. Number 4 is the student concussion monitoring tool. At the end of every week, the teacher will check all the behaviors that have been noticed with that student in the classroom, and we're going to be constantly talking back and forth with the child's physician because we want to make sure that the physician knows what symptoms the child is still having in school and if they're getting any better or if there's any change at all. CMT 5 is recommendations to address ongoing symptoms. This is for the teachers in the classroom to give them a little bit of ideas on ongoing signs and symptoms and anything that they can actually do to help the student by increasing their activity so that they eventually get back to what they were before they had the concussion. And the last form is, in order for a student who's an athlete to return to play, this is a monitoring tool form. We have to have a physician's order stating that the child may return to play, but as I said earlier, the child has to be symptomatic, and then they will be monitored, and each step that they accomplish will be completed. And like I said earlier, we will be talking back and forth to the physician to let the physician know if the child is still having symptoms. And that's just, the last thing is the flow chart that just helps the people in the school know exactly which steps to take. As I said earlier, it's very, very important for our students to become and be successful in the classroom. And so each day, the school athletic director and the nurse are going to make sure that they are assisting on monitoring the students when they return back to school. All of our coaches, as Mr. Minner said, they're trained using the NFHS concussion management program, and they have to do that on an annual basis. This year, all of our crisis staff will be trained, as well as any people on the concussion management team will be trained on symptoms and procedures. And prior to the start of each season, all of our coaches and volunteers have to come in, and they're going to be taught on concussion management, the symptoms, and they still have to be CPR and first aid certified annually. During the preseason team meetings, students and parents will be informed of the new procedures, and students and parents will review concussion symptoms to look for and be given time to ask questions. Now, this is something that the students automatically have a form that they fill out every year, but we want to make sure that they're well versed and they know exactly what our procedures are, so they are going to be brought in and specifically talked to instead of just giving them a sheet of paper to sign. All staff members of our administrative staff will receive training on concussion management in the administrative retreat in a couple of weeks. And we have also asked Mrs. Hatchett to make sure that all of our documentation is put on our Henry County webpage. And we also want to work very closely with our physicians to let them know what our concussion management plan is. We want to visit the hospital, let the ER staff know what our plan is. We want to go to the urgent cares, and we also want to make sure that all of our physicians are very aware of what our plan is. Our concussion management team is going to meet every semester starting in August. And do any of you have any questions? Our members of our concussion management team are here, and as well as Dr. Miller and Dr. Favero.
How is the cycling management handled?
Okay, I'll let Coach Rivera.
Go ahead, Mr. Renner.
Sideline management, go ahead.
Sideline management for Magna Vista will be handled by Dr. Favero, and Dr. Miller has actually, I'll let him speak to what took place today so he can let you know about that for Bassett High School as well.
The hospital has hired an athletic trainer that's going to be working at Bassett. That'll be the person in charge of making the recommendations if there's any injuries. So that person will be in charge of making recommendations at Bassett as well as with Magna Vista.
Yeah, I think one important point of this is you know, I'm committed to being at Magna Vista. My brother's there. I'll be at every football game, but I don't go to any additional games. And really, I think the county needs to take steps to make sure that there is an athletic trainer or some type of medical personnel at every activity that takes place.
And that was kind of part of the reason I asked the question, because I remember we talked about this about a year ago, about how, you know, it's almost the standard at larger school divisions if there's an athletic trainer or somebody qualified at all athletic events. We tend to focus on football, but you shouldn't. You should focus on all the sports and something for ongoing discussion.
Yeah, luckily for us, we have been working with our local EMT organizations, and they're very willing to come out and help support when they can, but we all know that if they get called away, they get called away. But Dr. Miller, signing on with the new individual who'll be here in July, will also help out because we're going to be able to organize better what we have and make sure that we have as much coverage as possible.
The plan is to expand the athletic training program through the hospital where we actually have more than just one trainer. We'll have multiple trainers for each school, each site.
The person that I hired, she's going to be the head trainer. She's in charge of organizing the outreach program. So we're going to start where the need is at greatest right now at Bassett, and then move into some of the other needs at the school, other schools. But right now, I have one person in place. She starts July 6th. And from that head trainer, we're going to organize programs so that we can start getting other people involved and maybe bring other trainers in to be able to cover all the sports, not just the high risk, because everything needs to be covered. Everything from band to football, you know, across the board. That's the goal.
And you can probably, Pat, speak to this. Are you empowered by the coaches essentially to identify a player and will the trainer be as well? Because that ends up being some of the conflict. Obviously, you got a star player gets hit and you're concerned. He looks a little woozy, but he says, "I'm fine." Are you empowered to essentially pull that player aside and do an assessment?
I think I'm in a unique position because who I'm dealing with at Magna Vista. Normally, when they come to the sideline, if I have any concern at all, first thing I do is take off their helmet and hold on to it. And as long as I have control of their helmet, I don't have to worry about somebody else putting them back in the football game. So I feel very empowered there to handle it. I think it'll be very important once Chip and his team get involved in the other schools, in the other sports, that the coaches respect the medical team's decision, and they're going to have to stick by it because the potential risks of placing an athlete back in the game that has a concussion, or, you know, it can be a devastating situation.
Also, part of the protocol is sideline assessment that is recommended that we're going to be following as well. So
right.
It is in place for doing what's called a SCAT-2, which is a way of assessing. So any medical personnel can do that on the sideline, and that's legit. I mean, that's, you know, objective.
Thank you.
It looks like we have game situations covered, and in both high schools, I'm also concerned about practice situations, particularly in the heat of August when so many of these accidents in football happen to young athletes, heat strokes, and concussions even then. Is there some way we can address those times of the year also?
Exactly. Well, part of the reason for getting trainers into the schools, starting with the first trainer, is the education of the coaching. Because one or two or three trainers in one school can't be everywhere at all practices, at all games. So it's the educational component that trainer is going to bring to the school system for the coaching staff and the coaches to recognize and to be aware of heat, hydration, infection control for staff, things like this that always creep into programs. So
yeah, that's the biggest part is the education component.
Will you please mention that you're going to do the pre-assessment too?
Oh, we have some highly sensitive equipment at the hospital that we use for a lot of neurological testing. But with that equipment, we can also do what's called a baseline assessment pre-injury, and I've offered it to the schools so that we have any high-risk players, athletes that have either had a concussion in the past or are high risk in the sport that they play or the position that they play. But we can do baseline testing and have that for the doctors, so if there is an injury, we have something to compare to. We also have some testing in the equipment that we can do, even if we don't have the baseline and we have an injury, we can still compare it to normative data of that gender, that male, female, age, height, weight, and we can see if somebody is normal or abnormal. And this piece of equipment is very sensitive. It's actually, I just found out today the NCAA is supporting it as a concussion testing protocol or part of the protocol. So it's very sensitive, it's very exact and objective. So we have that to offer as well.
Just to hit back on the hydration and the heat, already the high schools are working on, we have regulations that we follow for making sure we have mandatory breaks, mandatory hydration, and mandatory temperature rules that we follow at both high schools.
I'm glad to hear that I guess old AM caps that we used to break under someone's nose, they're a thing of the past.
Yeah.
I'd like to thank the members of the committee, Drs. Miller and Rivera. Thank you for your ongoing support, and our student did a great job getting it started. Good job there. But I appreciate the partnership because, as Dr. Stanwell said, that in larger school divisions with more resources, you have more coverage. So our challenge is going to be how do we make this happen on a regular basis, and we really appreciate the help you're providing. We got some work to do, but student safety is the most important. So I really appreciate your commitment to all of you to helping us. I know you've had several meetings and you've put this together in a short amount of time, but I'm very impressed with what you've developed. So thank you.
Thank you so much. We will now move to the consent agenda. There is a long list of things tonight. We can approve those as a single motion, or if there are others you'd like to discuss further, please feel free to ask us before the meeting.
Adoption of the consent agenda is presented.
Second. It's been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. All in favor, please raise your hand. Unanimous. Now we'll move to the action agenda, and the first item on there is adoption of the budget for the next school.
Yes, Madam Chair, this is a technicality that we do each year. The Henry County Board of Supervisors approved the FY 2016 county and school budgets at their meeting on April 28, 2015, which included the $300,000 of low-level funding for the school division. The total county budget, including the school system's funding, was appropriated on May 26, 2015. What is recommended at this time is that we officially adopt the FY 2016 operating budget totaling $73,611,051, with textbook budget of $1,632,540, and a school nutrition program budget of $4,321,838. I'd ask for the board to officially approve so that we can get this on the record for next year's operations.
Make a motion that we approve the adoption of the FY 2016 budget.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the adoption of the 2014-15 school budget for 15-16. All in favor, please raise your hand. Thank you. I believe we have some updates to the policy manual that will be
evening, Madam Chairman and members of the board. Proposed policy revisions reflect efforts to bring current policies into compliance with new or existing laws and regulations, or have been revised for editorial reasons. The revisions are provided in a format showing each change made to the policies. Changes are designated by underlining new language and striking through deleted language. Revisions have been verified for legality by the Virginia School Boards Association or by legal counsel. The policies can be found on board docs under the featured tab Policies Under Consideration. We did highlight some of the changes at the last board meeting in May, and hopefully you have had time to review them and to reflect upon whether or not you have any questions or concerns. It is recommended that the policy revisions be approved as presented.
So moved. Second.
It has been moved and seconded to approve the school board policy changes on second reading. All in favor, please raise your hand.
I didn't raise my hand.
No, you didn't?
No, I did not.
Okay, you have one you were concerned about.
Yes. It's been approved now.
No, okay.
Well, I know Mr. Miller did raise a concern about FFA, which is naming of school facilities, and that particular item, the only change that was made there was the clause that if you rename a facility, then it follows the same guidelines as naming the school, meaning that the person that you name a facility after, which would be a gym or field, the person has to be deceased for 10 years before you can do that. Now, in the previous policy, it just said the school would follow that guideline, but now school facilities has been added, and I know that Mr. Miller raised a question about that, and I don't think he got a chance to share that before we voted on that. So, Madam Chair, I don't know what you want to do at this point.
Madam Chairman, I messed up too. I made a mistake. I should have picked that up. I apologize, Mr. Miller. I'll make is the last motion been voted on, or we can vote to approve everything except that one there?
I think you'd have to do a new motion.
A new motion, yes. Is the previous motion all voted on everything?
Well, I mean, you should ask for opposition. I mean, if he wants to vote in opposition.
Yes, you've got to vote no.
So the vote is fine. I'll offer a motion that we approve all of the changes except the one that Dr. Cotton mentioned. It was, you want to say for the record which one it is?
That's FFA, and I second it.
Right. That was my mistake. I should have. I messed up.
I'm not sure you can do that because we already have a motion on the floor. It's been seconded and it's been voted on.
We approved the last motion, but we're gonna vote on another motion. So if the majority approves this motion, this will supersede the other. Hopefully this is yours unanimous. Listen, I expect the Virginia School Board Association, but we don't need the Virginia School Board Association telling us how to name a facility in Henry County. I mean, that's the last thing we do.
You know, let me just give you some background. The reason that was added, because we did call the VSBA about that, and that is the reason that they wanted the facilities to follow the same process as the school buildings is because whenever you get in the process of naming a building or facility after a living person, there's always the risk that that living person, their reputation could change or something could happen during the course of their life that would put us in a position where we would want to remove the name from the facility or the school. And that puts us in a difficult situation. So that's the reason that they made that recommendation. And you're right, Mr. Zayer, and of course, Mr. Miller, we don't have to follow what the VSBA recommendation is. We can certainly leave that policy as is, which does not include facilities in that message. But just for a operational standpoint, I don't know, can they propose an alternate motion? And you think so? like if we did, it would supersede the previous motion if the.
Right, the previous motion passed 5-1. Okay? We haven't voted on this motion. This motion's been made and seconded. Hopefully this motion is 6-0, which will null and void the previous motion. I feel very confident on that.
Well, I certainly agree that there are situations where it's appropriate, as we have done one time, to name a facility after a person who's not deceased. I would think in the unlikelihood that that person ever did something that might just want to change it, that action could be taken at that time to change the name.
I would think so. We named the few after Eddie Lee, I know that's what you're talking about.
Okay, keep in mind our county administrator and our former sheriff were highly respected, high positions, and things happened.
I understand. We crossed that bridge if and when we got to it.
Okay.
So now are you saying we shouldn't do this?
I think we should leave the policy as it is because we still have control. The school board still have control with the policy as it is as to naming of facilities and schools.
But if we eliminate that particular clause, then that simply leaves it like it was.
Right.
Well, I don't know how the best way to go about doing it is. I agree that there are times when it's appropriate to name a facility, not a school, not a building, after someone who has not been deceased. I would think sometimes if you waited 10 years, people might have forgotten what that person might have done.
I think you have conflict here in the sense that if you vote on the second motion, what are you going to do with the first motion?
And I was just saying to.
This motion null and voids the first motion.
No, I was just saying, Mrs. Maddox, we may have to have a motion to cancel the last vote.
Well, that's fine.
Can I make a counter motion to just change FFA to eliminate the 10-year clause? Just change that one small part of it. In other words, we've approved the entire thing. We just change that line.
Changing the line.
Can I just make a motion to change FFA? I don't have it in front of me to see the exact wording, but to remove.
I think that would have been fine had we not already voted, but I think and again, I don't know, because it hasn't happened, but I think we have to null and void the previous vote, and then we start over.
Is it necessary?
Because normally what would have happened, I understand, Paul, is you would have made an alternate motion before the vote, and then we would have voted on them separately. But I think what's happened since we've already voted, we just need to null and void the previous vote. If that's the board's pleasure, then we'll vote again with a new alternate motion. That's my best guess as how to do this.
Mrs. Miller, if you withdraw your second, I'll withdraw my motion.
I second it.
Okay, whatever. I second, withdraw my second.
And I withdraw my motion. Mr. Miller, if you'd like to make a motion null and void the first one, that's fine.
Okay. To do what?
No and void the previous vote.
Oh, I'll approve that.
Well, you gotta make a motion.
I offer a motion that we null and void the previous motion made to approve policies, certain school board policies on second reading.
Second.
All in favor of the current motion, please raise your hand.
Mr. Miller, you're on a roll, buddy. Go for it.
I offer a motion that we approve the update to certain school board policies on second reading with the exception of policy FFA.
Second.
We're certain that's the one that we're trying to.
That's the one. That's the one.
Is there any discussion?
Do you have FFA in front of you? Can you read?
I do.
Can you read specifically what it says?
Yes, the second paragraph is the paragraph to which Mr. Milner refers, and it states, no school or school facilities will be named for a living individual. Schools and school facilities may be named for individuals who have been deceased for at least 10 years. And the changes to that paragraph in both cases are adding school facility. It already says no school may be named for a living individual and must be named for someone deceased for at least 10 years, but the change is to add or school facility.
So all we would need to do is eliminate the or school facility, and it would stay as is.
Yes, and essentially that's the way it is right now. So if you take it out of the mix, it will remain as is.
And or school facility is in the first paragraph, so he's correct. If we just keep it as is without the changes, then it's
not going to do any modifications to that, I think.
What we have to accept, we still
have control over it. Yeah, we don't
still
need,
have control.
not having that wording in there doesn't mean we don't have the power to say we're not going to name this facility after a living person. We just, if we put it in there, then we have no choice. In the situation of Mr. Levi, we would have had no choice to name this field after him, which we all felt was deserving until he'd been deceased for 10 years. Based on the packed room that was here to honor him would not have been the right.
We were okay to do that because the policy only spoke to the school buildings versus facilities.
So I believe the motion on the floor is to approve all of the revisions presented, with the exception of FA,
Which is titled Naming of the School.
and that one will remain as it is currently written.
It's titled Main School Facilities.
That's correct.
Now we need to vote.
Call for the question.
All in favor? Raise your hand.
It's not our intention to cause all that trouble.
That's certainly stuff this meeting.
Mrs. Wells, I believe we're going to talk about money.
Less drama, I hope. RFP 13-05093 was approved by the board in June 2014, and this was our contract with Educational-Based Services for Speech Services. The estimated cost for the contract was $75,000. That contract cost was based upon the previous school year speech caseload and services rendered. For the 2014-15 school year, however, the cost to provide speech services exceeded that original amount, and this is probably due to the increase in the number of students who required speech services and the travel between school sites that was incurred. I'm requesting and recommending that an additional $9,000 be approved to cover that shortfall in the speech services cost.
So moved.
Second. It has been moved and seconded to approve Mrs. Wells' request for funds. All in favor, please raise your hand.
Wasn't that easy?
You can pay a bill. You're back.
I'm back. All 10 elementary schools qualify as Title I schools, and therefore we are eligible to spend Title I funds at all of those schools. A few expenditures that are covered by the Title I grant include our reading specialist positions, our instructional reading assistants, our instructional coach positions, and then we also buy instructional materials and pay for professional development from the Title I grant. Basically, we will continue spending the grant as we have in past years, with the exception of two changes. The two changes include the addition of the instructional coaches. If you remember earlier this spring, we talked about we would fund 9 instructional coach positions, 1 in each elementary school, with John Redd and Council Primary sharing a coach. That would be the change that we will have this year in the Title I grant. And also, the change is based on an audit that we had this past spring. During the audit, we were informed that we could no longer continue our practice of awarding each elementary school a lump sum of money from the Title I grant to pay for supplies and instructional materials. We were told that we could make those purchases on behalf of the school and then allocate those resources to the school. So that would be the change. what we will do is we have looked at the expenditures the schools have in common, and we have informed the principals that when the grant is approved, those will be the things that we'll buy, and those items include things such as the parent communication folders that all our elementary schools use, level readers for our schools, daily 5 materials, and materials to support the instructional program in the schools. Therefore, it is recommended that the board approve the 2015-16 Title I grant for the amount of $2,395,483.95. This grant is 100% reimbursable. Do you have any questions?
When did we receive final notification of the amount of this grant?
We actually were told to write the grant based on last year's allocation, and we will send the grant in after you all approve it and it's signed. It's due July 1st, and they typically do not let us know final approval until September.
Yeah, because I thought you told us this once before, and I just want to see if that was...
Yes, sir. It's usually in September. So they usually will say we can begin spending July 1 a proportion of the allocation, but we can't spend the full amount until after September. And there could be changes in the amount that they give. Typically, it's not very much of a change. We always hope, but we always know with the federal government, anything's possible.
Okay. I'll motion that we approve this funding request.
Second. Been moved and seconded to approve the Title I funding request. All in favor, please raise your hand.
Thank you.
Ms. Copenhagen.
We wish with your approval to refresh our 5th grade iPads and establish a sustainability program for all of our elementary tablets. And the lease will be paid from savings from our laptop lease for our middle and high school laptops. The laptops were much cheaper than we thought, so they came in at a lower price. So this is not new money, it's money that's already in the budget for our lease. So we're recommending that the board approve a 4-year lease purchase for our 5th grade iPads in the amount of $53,643.09 annually.
Move to approve. Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve Mrs. Copenhagen's request for technology. All in favor, please raise your hand.
And we're also asking, pending on year-end funding, to replace our 6th grade and or 8th grade or both iPads. Last year we expanded our tablet initiative to the 8th grade and bought new iPads for the 7th grade. So pending on year-end funding, we would like to purchase either 6th grade iPads, 8th grade iPads, or both in the amount of total $415,898.
Second.
Moved and seconded to all in favor, please raise your
Well,
hand.
let me ask you a quick question. When you say pending carryover, so you'll buy depending on how much money, and if that's the case, who's first?
6th grade, because they're older.
Looking at using year-end funds, you're going to see a lot of pending available funding, which is what we year-end funding actually. You'll see that on several items because we want to be able to move forward with these purchases depending on what we have left at the end of the fiscal year.
And you started the initiative with 8th grade last year and we're replacing this year, or I didn't?
We actually added 6th grade several years ago, and then this past year we bought, the Board of Supervisors bought 7th grade, and we took the 8th grade out of the carts. We had enough of the iPads in the carts to furnish the 8th grade. Now what we will do with those is put them back in carts and take them down to K2.
Questions or concerns? We have a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor, please raise your hand.
Thank you.
ma'am. Good evening, Ms. Maddox, members of the board. We have 1 1996 and 8 1997 international school buses due to be replaced. These buses have an average of 250,000 miles. Bid was submitted, and there were 3 respondents. Other respondents, Kenmore Supply Incorporated of Harrisonburg, Virginia, had the lowest bid of $75,700 for the made-to-order buses. It is recommended that the Henry County Schools purchase from Kenmore Supply Incorporated up to 9 65-passenger buses, made-to-order buses, subject to availability of year-end funding, up to $681,300.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Jones, are we looking at capacity with buses? Do we need to continue? I know we've talked before about how more and more students are car riders, and I'm wondering, are we filling 65-passenger buses with our regular routes routinely, or?
Well, I think we are, and you have to remember that when we do routing, the students that live on that route, we have to make room for them. We have to plan for them to be on the bus, even if they are car riders at part of the time. So, and if you remember, over the past several years, we've actually cut a route or two each year, or it's cut a bus or two. So we're pretty much running bare minimum as far as capacity. Now, sometimes you'll get the concern about, well, I saw this bus leave a school and they were only half full. Well, that may have been true that particular day, but we pretty much have to plan for that bus for the students living on that route, whether they ride or not.
Well, then, because the next year, the person that's, they may move on or whatever into another school, but somebody might take that place next time.
Yes, ma'am.
My question is, where are we in our replacement? I think we talked about that one other
Yeah,
time.
we're behind.
We're still behind.
Yes, ma'am.
Even we still be behind even with these?
If we were able to purchase these 9 buses, we are still behind using our 15-year replacement cycle. And just, I happen to have this information for you because I thought that might come up. We still have 12 1999 buses. So we're behind, and at some point we will probably have to actually make this a major budget item.
I know you're not the person for this, but what's the typical warranty on the buses that we get? I know quite a few bus drivers, and they're telling me that more and more the new buses, that just doesn't hold up like the old ones, and they're all down quite a bit for maintenance. And so what kind of warranty do we get?
I'm not really sure about the warranty. What I can say about that is, we have an excellent mechanical staff over there that do a great job as far as keeping the buses up and running.
We can get that to you. We'll send that to the board, but I guess we can get a sense of what the standard warranty is. It's probably a certain number of years and a certain number of miles.
It probably depends on the motor, the transmission, different parts, basically like a car.
I was kidding one driver. I said, I know you're looking forward to getting one. He said, oh no, I'd rather not get one of those new buses. I'd rather keep it what I've got because those things.
We haven't had to turn them down yet, so they know where they are on the schedule.
Yes, sir, they do.
I saw a bus driver the other day, and he said he's next.
Well, I won't mention that driver's name.
Okay, probably shouldn't.
One last question. You referred to these as custom.
Made-to-order buses. You can get basically a bus on the lot with all the bells and whistles, and they are much more expensive than made-to-order. We only require what we need, which would be the cameras, pretty much a standard bus with the cameras. I had that.
That's okay. Basically.
Yeah, it's just our basic bus. We don't go for all the bells and whistles, just a basic bus.
And I am a mechanical person. So what the companies do is they buy basic chassis, and then they build, and they normally build to suit the customer. Now, they do make some that keep on the lot, but this is based on past experience of what people have ordered, and you may want that, you may not want it.
And they come pretty much ready to go on the road except for radios, and we install our radios. Our department installs the radios.
And the only complaint I've heard from bus drivers is the seats are so high you can't see the little ones.
Right.
And that's by regulation.
Yeah, it's a safety issue.
And they can't see the preschoolers and the kindergartners very well.
And we still don't have seat belts.
No, ma'am, we don't have seat belts on our 65 passenger buses. Now, we will have some seat belts on our special ed buses.
And our newer buses have the accommodation, so if we want to put seat belts, we could. It's not a major modification. That's something new that the industry is coming out with.
I think they should have.
Well, studies have proven that there are more problems with the small children than there are good, and that the seat in front of them actually does as well, preventing them from further damage than the seatbelt would.
Well, and they're quite a bit of difference now. If next time you're able to get on one of our buses, the high seats and the thickness of the back rest is much different than it was when on our older buses. I started to say when I was in school, but we don't even want to go back that far.
I won't.
But wait,
Do we have a motion and a second? All in favor of the motion, please raise your hand. Okay, Mr. Boyce, carry on.
Yes, ma'am. We have two 1999s and two 2001 International 35-passenger school buses with wheelchair lifts due to be replaced. These buses also have an average of around 250,000 miles. Bid was submitted. King Moore Supply of Harrisonburg, they had the lowest bid on this as well, $78,370 for the made-to-order buses. It's recommended that Henry County Schools purchase from Kenmore Supplies up to 4 35-passenger made-to-order buses equipped with wheelchair lifts, subject to availability of year-end funding up to $313,480.
Move
to approve.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Are there questions for Mr. Boyce? How many of those do we have in our fleet?
We have she asked me a question.
That's okay.
We run about 116 routes per day, including both our regular buses and our special ed buses, and we have we average about 7 to 10 activity trips daily. So we have 138 total buses, and part of those, and we figure we basically determine about 15 to 20 of them we use as spares.
All in favor of the motion, please raise your hand. Mr. Boyce.
Yes, ma'am. As you know, we have vehicles designated for trips for school personnel, and some of them that you guys use as well. These vehicles are all four-door sedans with the capacity to carry 4 to 5 people. There have been several occasions which multiple vehicles are needed to transport a large group. A 6 to 8 passenger van would be very beneficial and more economical in certain situations. So it's recommended that one pre-owned 6 to 8 passenger van be purchased for trip use from Basic Auto Sales under Virginia State Contract E-194-72879, subject to availability of year-end funding up to $23,000.
So moved.
Second.
Are there questions for Mr. Boyce about the 8-passenger thing?
Yes, ma'am, we're spending some money on it. As stated, we have vehicles designated for trips for school personnel. These vehicles are all four-door sedans with capacity to carry 4 to 5 passengers. Several of these vehicles are over 10 years of age and showing signs of wear. These vehicles are often used for extended length trips and must be dependable. It's recommended that 2 4-door sedans be purchased for trip use from Capital Chevrolet at a cost of $17,721 each under Virginia State Contract E-194-72765, subject to availability of year-end funding in the amount of $35,442.
So moved.
Second. Any questions?
That's a new vehicle?
Yes, sir.
17,000.
Yes, sir.
You want to get one too?
You gonna order one too?
All in favor of the motion, please raise your hand.
Now, let me ask you something.
Okay.
Mr. Williams, too, we've gone through there are 2 kinds of buses, a van and cars, subject to availability of funds. What's the priority in those subject to the availability of funds?
Well, priority right now for me would be the 2 vehicles, and the van and the special ed buses.
As opposed to the 65?
Yes, sir.
So there is a plan as to how
Yes, sir.
the availability of funds
Yes, sir.
will be used.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Duvall, what we've done is we've prioritized, we've been working on a year-end wish list that we've met on extensively, and we've prioritized and numbered all of those items. It includes some items for operations, for instruction, and other areas. So the way that we would handle that would be based on that priority.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Scott?
All right, Ms. Maddox, members of the school board. The roof at the Center for Community Learning is roughly 22 years old, and we have an opening contract with Cornett and Cundiff to do roof design when we need it. And they've prepared plans and specifications for replacing this roof. The new roof would come obviously with a general contractor will provide a 2-year warranty on it for any kind of water tightness issues, and a 20-year manufacturing warranty from the manufacturer of the roof. And so bids were solicited to replace this roof, and of the 2 firms responding, Roofing Solutions out of Chatham, Virginia, provided the lowest bid of $316,200. And it's recommended that we award the bid to Roofing Solutions out of Chatham, Virginia, in this amount, pending availability of year-end funds as well.
Move to approve.
Second.
Question. And this new roof comes with what kind of, 22 years does not sound exactly not right?
It's 20 years for the manufacturer warranty, 2 years from the general contractor, whoever puts it on. So basically, after 2 years, if we had a problem and it was an issue for the materials, the manufacturer would cover the repair.
And just as an FYI, we've been using this building for a good deal of professional development. This past year, we've created I guess it was the old media center now, it's a training room. So we've saved significantly on using that venue. And of course, down the road, we've talked about using this building for maybe a career and technical center. So obviously, this was next on the list for roofing projects, and we don't want to spend money on a roof for a building that we're not gonna keep in operation. So I just put that out there so that you know we have plans, long-range plans for this building.
Any questions? All in favor, please raise your hand. Mr. Scott, you stated that before.
Yes. The bids were solicited to repair and replace deteriorated pavement at Mount Olivet Elementary School, And of the two firms responding, Dalton Enterprises Asphalt Paving of Ridgeway, Virginia, provided the lowest bid of $100,719.02. And after negotiations, the new price would be $98,000, and it's recommended that we award this bid to Dalton Enterprises in the amount of $98,000 for this repair and replacement of pavement, pending availability of funds.
So moved.
Good old Ridgeway, Scott.
No, every time I go to that school, I get questions about that parking lot.
Mr. Miller, this one's dedicated to you.
That's right.
And then make a motion, we name the parking lot.
I assume there was a second to your motion.
I second it. Yes, ma'am, Madam Chair.
All in favor, please raise your hand. Mr. Scott?
Okay. RRMM Architects of Roanoke, Virginia holds an open-end contract with the school division for A&E consulting services. They provided a proposal for a feasibility study at Bassett High School for a new tech center in the amount of $22,000. This would include meeting with members of the administration there at the school, examining areas of the building, creating floor plans, and picking out the best spot for the new tech center in that building. They would in turn create some floor plans for us and come back and illustrate a graphic to you similar to what we did with Magna Vista. They would be able to put it on it virtually, kind of walk you through what that new tech center would look like at Bassett. And then the results obviously will be presented to Dr. Cotton and administration and to the school board as well. And so it's recommended that a contracted amount of $23,000 be awarded to RMM for a feasibility study on the area of interest at Bassett High School.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. All in favor, please raise your hand. Thank you. Dawn? She can't do that.
Our property and casualty coverage includes coverage of $5 million for school board legal liability, errors, and omissions, and coverage with a $5,000 deductible and umbrella coverage of $5 million. Our automobile and bus coverage includes $2 million in liability, $5,000 in medical payments, $2 million uninsured, underinsured motorists, $500 comprehensive deductible, and $500 collision deductible. The proposal is an overall decrease of $13,490 from this current year, and our insurance consultant, Sam Rosenthal, Consulting recommends approving coverage continuance with VACO risk management programs. It's recommended that the property, casualty, and workers' compensation insurance coverages be continued with VACO risk management programs for 2016.
Move to approve.
Second. Been moved and seconded to approve the insurance coverages presented by Mrs. Lawson. All in favor, please raise your hand. Thank you. And the last one is an approval to purchase land for the new school signs and to also make a request of the Board of Supervisors that money be appropriated to us for that purchase.
Yes, ma'am. And before we get to the recommendation, I just wanted to provide you with a quick update of where we stand with the site location on it. We prepared just kind of a quick, some quick updates for you on it. As you remember, as part of our whole selection process, we partnered with Gay & Neal engineering firm and RRMM to help us through the site selection process on it. As we went through the process, we identified stakeholders. Who is this going to be affected by? What is there the need for it? Established a criteria of what this site would look like and their minimum requirements for it. Identifying potential sites that were brought to us. And then we took a site selection committee, put them together with the help of our consulting partners, and created a short list of all the sites that were brought to our attention. We took that top candidate and we created a specific study to make sure that land was viable for us to be able to build on. And now we're at the stage of purchasing land. So before I mention that, I do want to recap just a little bit, a few items that took place on the studies. There was a phase 1 environmental site assessment done, which involved rigorous review of the records, historical databases, site inspection visually to see if it was okay, what they may have noticed on there, interviews with any kind of owners and neighbors and occupants that could have offered information. And out of that study, these reports, by the way, are provided on our website. It is actually under a section through Use the Home site, I believe it is, and it's listed as new elementary school, the About tab. So if you're interested in reading these reports, there's a link on there. Out of that phase 1 assessment, there were no indicators or triggers that discovered the need for continuing that investigation on the soil samples, or what they would like to call a phase 2 assessment. So everything turned out okay. We then went into a geotechnical evaluation of the sites, which involved 26 soil borings, which means they ranged anywhere from 10 to 50 feet below the surface. And then each boring had a laboratory testing done on it to make sure nothing showed up. They also provided the group with some lateral earth pressures and pavement design recommendations. And then out of that report, there were some minor risks noted that dealt with settlement of it, but it was nothing out of the ordinary. This is something they see along a lot of typical construction projects. So it's important that we note that the things that they found can be, of course, fixed with mitigation of design as we go through when we're looking at the building. So out of all that, and I realize that's just a quick snapshot of the reports. If you have plenty of time, click on there. They're one of them 73 pages long. It's good reading if you enjoy that type of stuff on it. But we are seeking a motion to purchase the land from Mr. Cahill located at 740 Vicksboro Road in the amount of $545,000. And this, of course, will be pending approval of appropriated funds from the Henry County Board of Supervisors.
As a reminder, it's $545 because there was a $5,000 payment that was made with the option contract, the 90-day option contract, which is coming to an end at the end of June, early July. So obviously we're at the point where we want to exercise our option to purchase the land, and pending approval from the Board of Supervisors, certainly we recommend moving forward on this particular site.
And we move we approve to purchase land for the San Diego Elementary School and request additional appropriation from the Board of Supervisors.
Second.
Is there any discussion?
Just to mention, I'm pretty sure some of you received the email, a person concerned about the road leading to the proposed site. We've been using that road for years going to Vicksboro.
Yes.
And I'm pretty sure, I remember Magna Vista and how the road was it. Noticed that soapstone was corrected quite a bit afterwards. So the state's not going to come in and straighten the road before we put school there. We have to put school there, and then they'll do the improvements, I think.
Right. Well, we would also, part of our study also included that we did note that we would need some right-of-way improvements done, obviously, because we were looking at two different entrances as well, one for car riders and one for buses. So obviously there will be some changes done as far as how the entrance is done at the school. Yes.
And those are required. You have to account for those entryways and the site, so that you can see both ways.
Anything else? Ready to go. All in favor of the motion, please raise your hand.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Members of the board, we do have some good news to report in the superintendent's report for this month. The first item, sustaining skills. Axton Elementary students planted a wide variety of vegetables this spring, including onions, okra, tomatoes, beets, radishes, potatoes, lettuce, and peppers. Students cared for and harvested the vegetables to share with their peers. For example, the lettuce was used on sandwiches in the cafeteria. Sing across the community. Members of the Campbell Court Singers, under the direction of music teacher Amy Stewart, sang the national anthem for the Bassett High School boys varsity soccer game recently. The group also collaborated with the Carver Singers in May to perform the Fielddale Heritage Festival. The students enjoyed sharing their talent and passion throughout the community. STEAM project. Second graders in Mrs. Williams' class at Collinsville Primary recently examined the 3D shape of a birdhouse in order to figure the number of sides, edges, and faces. Combining measurement science, geometry, and art, the students developed what they thought would work best. A local manufacturer took their measurements and ideas to create a house that is child-friendly to assemble. Weather expert. WDBJ7 reporter Lindsay Anderson recently demonstrated weather tools and experiments to fourth graders at Drew Mason Elementary. Students were able to work with their hands-on manipulatives and explore how weather works in a variety of conditions from a local expert. A visit from the author. G.W. Carver kindergarten students in Mrs. Lowry's class became published authors and illustrators by writing a book entitled We Like School. Each student wrote and illustrated a page, giving reasons why they liked school. Students enjoyed having the book being read to them by a classmate as well. Rolling into summer. Fifth graders at Rich Acres recently spent the afternoon working with Lego robotics. Students were required to make a prototype, get approval from their teachers, and then make adjustments they thought would improve their product prior to demonstrating their creations. Many students proved to be budding engineers. Catapult calculations. Fifth grade students in Mrs. Fisher's class used knowledge of angles, force, and motion, and independent and dependent variables to research and build a catapult that would launch a projectile the furthest. Students used the same knowledge to redesign their catapults to launch a projectile that would land on a target 3 feet away. A lesson in the game of life. Plant life cycles were popular topics during spring at Stanleytown Elementary. Eggs were being candled, rolled, and cared for in the media center as everyone eagerly counted down the 21-day cycle until the hatching began. First graders headed to the greenhouses at Magna Vista to learn more about the life cycle of plants and left with a freshly potted flower just in time for Mother's Day. Laurel Park also donated plants from their greenhouse for the hearing impaired class to use in their study of plant parks. SOL Parade. Recently, Laurel Park Middle School students and staff held their annual SOL Parade. Slaying the SOLs was the year's theme. Guests participating in this parade included students from the Magna Vista High School Warrior Tech Academy and the Chick-fil-A Cow. Advisory floats represented SOLs to be slayed. Excellent student attendance on parade day signaled the excitement for this year's event. Transformational design. Mr. Dunn's drama class experimented with several kinds of makeup design at Magna Vista this month. Aging and special effects were two of the popular ways to transform students into a variety of characters. I'd like to offer congratulations to the following: BCEF CTE month winners. Virginia Career Education Foundation CTE month is celebrated annually. 4 students across the state had all correct answers in the recent contest, and 3 of those student winners were Isaiah Neal, Lindsay Gammons, and Tony Sansbury of Laurel Park Middle. Instructor Champ Hardy was given the honor of awarding cash prizes to the students from BCEF. Crisis Manual updated. Students at John Red were recently asked to design the cover to be used for the updated Henry County Public Schools Crisis Manual. Participants were tasked with incorporating a school building and an emergency vehicle into their design. Valerie Crouch's artwork was chosen as the winner of the new Crisis Manual cover. Her design included a fire truck, ambulance, and 2 police cars. Creative expression. For the 6th consecutive year, the Bassett High School Art Department had 5 student winners in the Expressions Art Show at Piedmont Arts Association. Expressions is a juried art show, which means that a judge chooses the winners. There were over 25 students who entered pieces this year. Haley Holcomb won the Guild Special Student Award, which is the highest award in the student category. Levi Stewart won 2nd place, and Bree Ferguson, India Harris, and Marissa Bryant each won a Student Merit Award. Madam Chair, this concludes my report for this month. There are other items in the report section that I'll be glad to answer any questions about. If not, that concludes my reports for this month.
Any questions about the items under the superintendent's reports at this time? items from the board to be discussed this evening?
Madam Chairman, I had the honor and privilege of going to both high school graduations, and I was very impressed with the behavior of the students and the parents. And I'd like to publicly thank VDOT. I thought their long-range traffic control ideas went extremely well, and the Henry County Sheriff's Department did an outstanding job controlling the traffic in and out.
Thank you, Mr. Simmons. Anyone else?
Also, would like to thank the school administration for making available for the school board and other distinguished guests to get in and get out. I think it was very orderly, very orderly.
We had, a few months ago, entertained a request from the Virginia Baseball Association for approval of funds for updating batting facilities at the school. And if you remember, I asked for a time frame from them. That never happened. Mr. Scott, can you comment on?
Other than tell you you're correct, it didn't happen on it. You're right. The time frame that we requested, I think we responded that we were told it was going to be done completed during the season. I don't have a good reason why it didn't. They turned it over to a different person, and he met with with Mr. Martin from our building and grounds, and they had a plan to get started. But so I don't know whether it was weather related of why they didn't go ahead and get started, or whether it was just manpower on it. I don't have a good answer of why they didn't get started during that time frame, but you saw the response that I received on that, so we will follow up to see what their new estimated time is.
Yeah, I mean, that was my reason for requesting the time frame, is that for us to the board to approve something that's just open-ended.
Right.
And in some manner, to hold their feet to the fire, so to speak. So I don't know if anything more needs to be done, other than I assume they'll need to come to you guys again with a specific plan.
Well, they presented the plan, and it was in target, but I will follow up to see if they have some new estimated dates, and I'll share it with Dr. Cotton that we can get out to the board. So.
If I remember correctly, was it approved with the understanding that we would get a timeline, or did we want to get the timeline before approval? I'm trying to remember.
We approved it pending a timeline, but then I think we got that by email correspondence within the week. And that's where they indicated that they actually have to finish.
I got you. So your concern was it didn't happen?
Nothing.
Okay.
Yeah, nothing happened.
I guess. Okay.
We'll follow up on that.
Anyone else? If not, we do have some dates that we were reminded of for the upcoming month, including a conference in Richmond. And you will remember that we have our second board meeting in June to pay the bills and end out the school year. So put that on your calendar also.
And Madam Chair, I will most likely need a closed session at that meeting. So I'll need to make sure we build it in.
Is there a motion to go into executive session?
So moved. Second.
All in favor, please raise your hand. Thank you. Chair will entertain a motion to go back into regular session.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to return to regular session. All in favor, please raise your hand. We have three items coming out of executive session tonight.
Is certified closed session.
Oh, Melinda.
You gotta put
I
her in.
always forget you.
That's fine. Whereas the school board of Henry County has convened a closed meeting on this day pursuant to intelligent recorded voting in accordance with the provisions of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act. And whereas section 2.2-3712.z of the Code of Virginia requires certification by this school board that such closed meeting is conducted in conformity with Virginia law. Now therefore be it resolved that the school board of Henry County hereby certifies that to the best of each member's knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements by Virginia law were discussed, and only such public business matters were were heard, discussed, or considered. Reverend Alker?
Yes.
Dr. DePaul?
Yes.
Ms. Flanagan?
Yes.
Ms. Maddox?
Yes.
Mr. Milner?
Yes.
Dr. Stanbaugh?
Yes.
And Mr. Zaire?
Yes.
Thank you.
Ms. Flanagan, I believe you have the first item coming out of this executive session.
Yes, Madam Chairman, I move that student case number 14EXP-15, that the student be expelled from Henry County Schools for 365 days without access to alternative services.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, please raise your hand. Thank you. Dr. Sambo?
I move we approve the special placement recommendations as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the special placement. All in favor, please raise your hand. Thank you. And the last one, Mr. Miller.
Madam Chairman, I offer a motion that we approve the personnel report plus addendum as presented.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the personnel report and the addendum to that report. All in favor, please raise your hand. Thank you.
Opposed.
Not everyone, you need to ask for opposed.
Oh, are there opposing votes to two? Okay, one.
Madam Chairman, I move we adjourn.
Second. All in favor? Raise your hand.